Well, the other way I might ask this to you is I'll say, if I give you the center and the radius, write the equation. It's the only two ways I'll ask it. I'll give you an equation, you give me the radius and the center. Or I give you the radius and the center, and you give me the equation. So let's just start with the basic standard form. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals the radius squared. We know that the center is h comma k, so we're just going to fill in those numbers. It's going to be x minus a negative 2 squared plus y minus 5 squared equals 10 squared. We can clean that up a little bit. We're not actually going to multiply this out, but a negative times a negative would be a positive, so it's going to be x plus 2 squared plus y minus 5 squared is fine, but 10 squared is 100. So here, very quickly, is the equation of that circle. Next example. Center is 0, 0, radius of 3. I'm just going to go ahead and write that. It's x minus 0 squared plus y minus 0 squared equals the radius squared. Some of you can probably do all of this in your head. I'm just writing it so that you can see it. X minus 0 is kind of unnecessary to write, so we're just going to say x minus 0 is x squared plus y squared equals 9. That's the equation of that circle that has that information. But what if you want to go through a specific point? Find the equation of a circle with a center at negative 4, 1 that passes through the point 2, 3. So center was 4, negative 1, and we want to go through the point 2, 3. Make sure I got that right. Oh, I didn't. Negative 4, positive 1, going through the point 2, 3. Well, the center is the easy part. It's going to be x minus that negative 4 squared plus y minus that 1 squared equals the radius squared. So this is like x plus 4 squared plus y minus 1 squared equals the radius squared. The problem is we don't have the radius squared to finish off the equation. What we do have is an x-coordinate and a y-coordinate on the circle. And just like lines where you have y equals mx plus b, and you get to this point in the equation where you have y equals a slope of 2 times x plus b, and we always want to know what is this number? Well, we always take the x and the y and we plug them in. That's exactly the same strategy we're going to use here. If we know that this 2 is on the circle and 3 is on the circle, that means 2 could go in for x, and I'd get 2 plus 4 squared, plus y should go in for, 3 should go in for y, so I get 3 minus 1 squared. If this is the equation of a circle, I should be able to put in the x and the y and get a number that is true. So we're going to do that. We're going to plug it in. We get 6 squared plus 2 squared equals the radius squared. So 36 plus 4 equals the radius squared. So 40 equals the radius squared. Now you might be tempted to actually square root this and say that the radius is 2 root 10. But I don't care. What I'm interested in is what is the radius squared, because that's the number that needs to go into my original equation. So my equation for this circle is going to be x plus 4 squared plus y minus 1 squared equals 40, the radius squared. And now I can just look at that and say, oh yeah, the center is negative 4, 1, with a radius of 2 root 10. Let me walk you through another example of that. Find the equation of the circle with the center at 2, negative 1, and point 52 is on the circle. So here again, I'm going to say x minus 2 squared plus y plus 1 squared equals the radius squared. I'm going to take the x and the y and put those into the problem to figure out what r squared is. So if x is 5, that'd be 5 minus 2 squared, then plus 2 plus 1 squared is supposed to equal the radius squared. 5 minus 2 is 3, squared is 9. 2 plus 1 is 3, squared is 9. So the radius squared is equal to 18. So my equation, I'm going to save myself some writing and just go right back up here. Now that I know the radius squared is 18, there's the equation of my circle. X minus 2 squared plus y plus 1 squared equals 18. Next example, same thing. Find the equation. The center is at 3, -2, and the point 0,2 is on the circle. As you get better at this, it'll become much quicker. So here's what I hope it becomes. I know that's going to be x minus 3 squared plus y plus 2 squared equaling the radius squared. I got to put in the x and the y, so it's going to be 0 minus 3 squared, which is 9, and 2 plus 2 squared, which is 16. So I get a radius squared of 25. So that means my equation of this circle is x minus 3 squared plus y plus 2 squared equals 25. What if I give it to you slightly different? Find the equation of the circle that has a diameter with endpoints at -1, 3, and 7, -3. Well, if you don't know what to do, the best thing you can do is sketch that out. So let's draw that picture. So let's draw ourselves a circle. And it says the diameter has points at -1, 3, and make sure I get this right, 7, -3. Now, you probably noticed that I'm not trying to sketch this all that accurately. I don't really care. What I'm trying to do is understand the problem. So the diameter is going to go through the center of the circle. Remember the main numbers that we're interested in. We need to know the radius, and we need to know the center, HK. Well, the center is going to be directly in the middle of those 2 points, which means the center is the midpoint of your diameter. So I need to do the midpoint of those 2 coordinates. So it's going to be -1 plus 7 divided by 2, and then 3 plus a -3 divided by 2, which is going to end up giving me 6 divided by 2, which is 3, and 0 divided by 2, which is 0. So there's my center, 3, 0. We just need to understand that the diameter has the center as its midpoint. So my equation, very quickly, is going to be x minus 3 squared plus y minus 0 squared equals the radius squared. And we're right back to what we were doing before. I already know that the point -1, 3 is an x and a y on the circle, so I'm going to plug those in. -1 minus 3 squared plus 3 minus 0 squared should equal the radius squared. So I'm plugging those in to find the radius squared. The center was easy, that was midpoint. So -1 minus 3 is -4, squared is 16, 3 minus 0 is 3, squared is 9. I'm getting that the radius squared is 25. That means my equation will be x minus the center 3 squared plus y minus 0, which I'm realizing now I don't need to write y minus 0, it'll just be y squared, equals that radius squared of 25. So once you know the standard equation of the circle, you may have to think about what you're doing and what you're looking at, like in this example, but it's still very simple to use once you have those coordinates of the center and a point on the circle. So let's do the last example on this page, which says find the equation of a circle with a center at 5, -3 that is tangent to the x-axis. This actually sounds more complicated than it is. This is probably the easiest one on the page. So let's draw the y-axis and the x-axis. And let's go find this point 5, -3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, negative. So there's the center of my circle. If I'm going to be tangent to the x-axis, that means I hit the x-axis at exactly 1 point. So that 1 point would be right here at 5, 0. So I need to know how far is it from 5, 0 to 5, -3. Well, I went down 3, so the radius is 3. And my circle is going to be 1, 2, 3 out, 1, 2, 3 out, and then I'm going to run out of room on the bottom of my screen. But you get the idea. It's going to look like this. So if I already know the radius is 3 and the center was 5, -3, I'm ready to go. It's x minus 5 squared plus y plus 3 squared equals the radius squared. 3 squared is 9. Very quick. So that's the last way I might ask it to you. You might have to find some of these things from the graph, or I might give you the graph and ask you to write the equation of the circle. All you're interested in is the center and the radius. If you can find those two things, then you can write the equation. So on part A, clearly the center of this circle is the origin, so that would be 0, 0. And the radius we can just count. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. So the center is 0, 0, and the radius is 4. That makes the equation x minus 0 squared plus y minus 0 squared equals 4 squared. And if you're already to the point where you can do this in your head without writing it that way, the simplified form of that would be x squared plus y squared equals 16. Same thing for part B. We need the center. We need the radius. The center is here at -1, 1, 2. And the radius appears to be 1, 2, 3, 4 away. So that means my equation is x plus 1 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 16. I actually like getting the graph better than I like getting the equation. So in the last one, part C again, we need to find the center. We need to find the radius. So the center is 1, 2, 3, -1. The radius is 1, 2. So my equation is x minus 3 squared plus y plus 1 squared. Remember, if it's negative, it's like subtracting y minus -1, so it's plus. And then equals the radius. 2 squared is 4. And there's the equation of my circle.